copyright of pictures is not mine. All goes to the rightful owners, and thank you for being amazing artists and putting stuff up so that I can use in my video to try and do some like visualization. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Laura, and today I'm going to bring down the mood a little bit. We're going to talk about some stuff.
I got the inspiration for this video last night because when I was quite young, when I first started watching YouTube videos, I used to watch a YouTuber called Bunny, or Graveyard Girl is her name on YouTube. And when I was going through this kind of paranormal stuff or spiritual stuff, whatever you want to call it, I used to watch her videos, and seeing her go through stuff and have the same kind of experience as me made me feel not alone. And that's what I kind of thought last night. Maybe I should do a video just to kind of put out there how I'm, you know, what I went through, and hopefully it will somehow reach someone, and if it helps one person, then I've done a great job.
So when I was little, I always suffered with nightmares. They were really vivid dreams. They always had a kind of a running theme of being chased. I always felt like I was trying to get away from something. But the other thing that I used to have was when I got really ill, I would hallucinate, especially if I had sickness bugs. I get really bad hallucinations, and I could see like people whizzing past like really fast in front of my face. Like I knew they weren't there, but I knew that I could see them. So from young, I was able to kind of distinguish between what's real and what's going on in my head. The other thing was sleepwalking, and my mum once caught me like downstairs unlocking the front door. Sleepwalkers, you're not supposed to wake them, so it wasn't anything that I remember. And this is the same as when I move on to the night terrors. They're nothing that I can remember. All of it is just kind of stuff that my mum has told me that happened. But I would wake up in one place, black out, and wake up in another. And I remember being on holiday with my grandparents, and I remember getting out of bed. I remember going to the bathroom. I remember first being sick, and then I blacked out, and I literally can't remember what happened. I opened my eyes again, and I was standing at the bottom of my grandparents' bed. Yeah, I was that child. I would hate me. Yeah, that's well creepy. As far as the night terrors, they are called such for a reason. They are terrifying. Not to have, because it just is a nightmare, but to witness, they're pretty scary. My mum said when I was little that they were particularly bad. You know, it's not nice to have your child wake up in fits of terror and screaming, and there's like nothing you can do to console them. You just have to be with them until that moment passes. It's really not a nice experience, but I've not been traumatized by it in the slightest. I can't remember anything happening. The only one experience, and it was the first experience I had of shadow people. I was not aware of what like a shadow person was. I didn't know it existed. I wasn't very well, and I'd gone to bed, and I'd woke up, I was like really sweaty, and I'd opened my eyes. There was just a figure of a man. It didn't even have arms or legs. It was just like a body. It didn't take a form. It was just kind of like blobs of blue, like black, coming in and out. Almost like if something was sparkling, but like an anti-sparkle. Just started screaming. My dad came in. I was saying like, get him out, he's in here, you need to get rid of him, like he's in my bedroom, blah 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 blah. Obviously my dad was angry because he thought someone was in my room, but it wasn't like a person in my room. It was just what I now know to be a shadow person. That's kind of the backstory of when I was little. I had a massive break from anything to do with night terrors. I didn't have any nightmares. I didn't have, you know, nothing bad happen. I would still sleep talk. The one thing that I did have was a lucid dream, which is a dream where you basically know that you're dreaming, and then you can like manipulate your own dreams. Now that's pretty cool, but it only happened once. So this is kind of the start of the shadow people. I was asleep one night. I'd opened my eyes. What I saw was a shadow of a man. One side was completely black. My blackout blind, it was dark, so I couldn't see that side of him. Almost like he's standing here facing me, so I can't see the back of him. He is blacker than black. He's wearing a cloak. He's looking down at me, and he's wearing a cap. Now, the first thing that Reese said when I said that he was wearing a cap was, that's ridiculous. But I'm just telling you, this is what I saw. I was lying there, couldn't move. I just couldn't. It wasn't like I was paralysed. I knew that I could move if I wanted to, but I was just in pure shock, and I kept blinking, and I reckon it was there for about 10 seconds, and I was just blinking, like trying to wake myself up, and it just wasn't going. And the only way that I knew that I could come round was to switch my light on. Now my light was literally here. Reached back, switched the light on, sat up in bed, and it was gone. I then went into like full-blown panic attack mode. And I will note, this is gonna sound so cliche, but everything that happened at 3 o'clock in the morning. So this first thing happened, I phoned Reese, told him what happened, and he was like, just try and get back to sleep, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. From that point onwards, I think for at least a year, I slept only about half an hour every single night. It then became this vicious cycle of like, I'd drop off to sleep for like 2 minutes, and then jump awake. Always with this sense that someone's watching me, but also kind of, I feel like it was out of fear as well that I kept kind of jumping awake. Like my own body was stopping me from falling asleep just to kind of protect itself from seeing what I'd seen. The next time that I went down my boyfriend's was like a couple of days later. I went over his to pick him up, and then we drove for food with his mum. On the drive there, I kind of explained the full story of like what exactly happened, and obviously his first reaction was to kind of laugh, like a cap. Like why would something dark be wearing a cap? Like that sounds ridiculous. Like it does sound ridiculous. But I was like, Reese, I'm just telling you what I saw. I'm just telling you what actually happened. We went for lunch with his mum. Me and Reese went back to Reese's house, and we went up to his bedroom, and he was like, I'm really intrigued, I want to do some research. And I was like, whatever, but I'm not getting involved. I don't really want to even talk about it. So I sat and watched TV, and he went on his computer. He kind of stopped me and was like, Lo, you have to come and see this. So I was like, oh, whatever. So I sat by the computer, and he showed me like the Hat Man, and instantly my body just went like goosebumps everywhere. I was like I could feel the shivers just going through my spine. It's awful. And the Hat Man is something that has been kind of a heavy burden, and something that I find like he was scarier than the rest. Like I felt personally like sickeningly scared of this Hat Man, whatever he was. And I saw this kind of shadow creature, which I can only describe as a very hunched over, like Slender Man, completely black, walking like some like deranged animal. Now, if I remember rightly, I actually sat up and looked at this. So I jolted upright in bed, looked across the room, and my eyes followed this thing walk from one side of my room all the way to the other. I saw it walk the whole way. So that was pretty freaking creepy. Again, same old, switched the light on, panic attack, crying, sat myself down, tried to go back to sleep, and then sleep for like 2 minutes every half an hour for the next couple of hours. This continued a few times. The only vivid ones that stand out is the Hat Man, this thing, and then thirdly, I can't tell if this is because of research. After I'd seen that Slender Man thing, we had looked up about these shadow people. We found a few different ones: the Hat Man, the Shadow Man, and the old lady. Obviously, I don't know whether that kind of triggered, and in my head it happened because I'd kind of spurred it on. But I woke up one night, and right in front of my face, like this close to my face, it didn't have a body. It was just the face. Like imagine like a cutout of just the face, and it was just an old hag. It was there for a couple of seconds. I blinked a few times and it was gone. It wasn't as kind of like stand out as the Hat Man or like the Shadow Man. I saw the Hat Man a fair few times, always the same, always standing right next to my bed. After all this happened, I started to get like pretty depressed about it all. Like I was so bogged down because I just wasn't sleeping. I just felt like every single night was torture. I dreaded the evenings. I dreaded going to sleep. Life was just like not even worth living if this was how it was going to be. It got to the point where Reese said, we have to do something about this. So I said, right, okay, like, yeah, okay, we'll do something. In all honesty, I didn't want to tell people about it because I felt like people would judge me in a sense that they would think that I was evil or something wrong with me and think that I was bad because I can see these things. But we went to church and we stayed after the service one day. Two of the men came in. One of them was Dave, who I think was pastor at the time, and one of them was Ralph, who I felt like I personally had a connection to him. I don't know, it was just something about Ralph that I really felt connected with, and I felt like he was helping me. So we basically stood in this room and we all held hands and they all just prayed over me. And I remember it was around Christmas time because I went home and I kind of spent an evening with my family, and it was almost like I'd been filled with new breath. Like I sat there and I was like, yeah, like something's gonna change. Like there's gonna be a change in my life. Like this isn't gonna stay the same. I knew it wasn't over. I knew that I wasn't gonna sleep easy that night, but I knew that this wasn't a forever thing. It was almost like God had sent me a message to tell me, I see what you're going through. You're going to be stronger in the end. I feel like this is one of my big testimonies to being a Christian, and the reason I am a Christian is because the only thing that actually helped me yeah, the only thing that actually helped me was being prayed over. What Reese and the guys at the church did was teach me how to actually pray, which I didn't know how to do. They taught me how to pray defensively in the name of Jesus, and that is like the key thing. So I prayed in the name of Jesus, and it was, you know, a work in progress, because what they did tell me was that these demonic spirits or whatever are feeding off fear, and I was giving them what they wanted, basically. So the more I was feeding them, the more they were going to stay. If you take away that fear, they don't have anything. And this is where I learned to kind of use my prayer to help me. At the end of all of this, so they've prayed over me, I go home, I start praying properly, and the last ever shadow person I saw wasn't a dark one. So basically I woke up in the night, opened my eyes, I sat up in my bed, I looked to the corner of my room, and in the corner of my room, literally say this is the corner, within the corner was the whitest light you have ever seen. It didn't have a figure. It filled the whole, up through the roof. It was huge, and it was just so bright. It didn't move. And I saw it, and then I closed my eyes for a second, and then I opened them again, and it wasn't there. And I just laid my head back down and I went to sleep. What, like, this is amazing. Like that could have been like an angel. And I didn't think about it at the time. I was just kind of like so dazed. I just felt so at ease and so much peace. And now looking back, yeah, it probably was an angel. It probably was, or some sort of guardian, or some sort of like message from God to say like, this is it, you're okay, you've made it, you've got past it all, and I'm just not afraid anymore. The reason I felt like doing this video is just because I know how it feels to feel like you're the only person that's going through this. Yeah, I hope you really enjoyed listening to my story time, and I pray for you all, and hope that nobody else has to experience this, because it's bloody awful. I'd love to hear anyone else's stories if they've had any kind of paranormal or spiritual stuff go on. I haven't done much research, and I'd love to know if you have. So if you've done any research on shadow people, let me know, and we can talk about it. Thank you very much, and I will see you soon. Mwah!